Hi, and welcome to another edition of Ask the Wine Dorks. I decided to film outside today since it's a beautiful September day, and we'll see how it goes. I'll have to be dealing with a little bit of the elements. It's a little breezy, so hopefully it's not too bad. But the question for today that I get asked quite a few times is aeration, decanting. Why are you swirling your wine in your glass? What is that actually doing? When should you decant a bottle? And why would you? All awesome questions, and the real short answer is aeration is really just adding oxygen to your wine, which is always going to make it taste better. So let's take a second to really think about a bottle of wine and why that would be. So they get done doing the full wine processing and put everything into a bottle, right? It sits there for at least a year, sometimes 10 years before it's opened and consumed and enjoyed. And in that time period, all those particles are going to kind of sit and rest together. A lot of times things will, for a red wine, the tannins will smooth out over time. There's a lot that can happen in a bottle. But the main thing is that they're sitting still and not moving and not exposed to oxygen. So it is really important when you open a bottle to expose it to some oxygen so that you can start getting those particles moving around again, because they're kind of stuck. If you've ever heard the term tight when someone's describing a wine, that term means that those particles are really kind of cramped up and tight because they've been sitting in a bottle for a long time and they need to breathe and move around and get some oxygen, like this wind that's out here right now. Because that's really going to kick up all the aromas in the wine and the flavor, because we mostly are tasting by aromas, right? So getting that oxygen swirling through there is kicking up all of the aromas. We're able to smell a lot more and taste a lot more as well. If you've ever noticed that when you first open a bottle and just pour it straight into your glass and take a sip, it might be a little bitter tasting, and then after 30-40 minutes it tastes a little better. You're starting to get more fruit character. That is why. It's that time of getting a little bit of oxygen in there. Few ways you can do this, okay? So the easiest is just swirling it in your glass. If you have 30 to 40 minutes to sit and just really slowly enjoy wine and swirl it that whole time, and take a little sip, swirl it, and just kind of relaxingly drink wine, that's totally fine. For me, that's half the fun, is sitting and swirling wine, and kind of kicking back and enjoying it. But if there's some other options too, so I'll show you the things that I use at home. There's these little bottle aerators. So you may have seen a few different styles of these around or in stores. They just fit right onto the top of the bottle, and it's a nice little pour spout on there too. But it has this little bit of a funnel in here, and also a little filter. So it's going to kind of help oxygenate and push oxygen through the wine as you're pouring it. So I'll demonstrate that for you here first, so you can see how this works. I really like using these for white wine or light reds, because it's just a quick little pop of oxygen to kind of run through there. And you'll see all those bubbles kind of in the top of my glass sitting there, so it's got some nice little oxygen kind of that moved through as you poured it. And then again, like I said, my favorite way is to swirl it. So swirling is going to do the same thing. It's just going to maybe take a little bit longer sometimes. Depends on what you're enjoying. Now, if you maybe just got done cooking a dinner, you're having people over, you just opened a bottle of wine and you want to enjoy that with dinner, I would recommend going to a full decanter, because you're going to be able to kind of get that wine to its fullest potential for flavor a little bit faster. Now, when we're talking about full decanters, there's so many different types and styles out there. You'll see some that have the big long neck that kind of go up like this. I think they call them the swans, and then they curve up and around, and they're really pretty and dramatic looking. And then some of them have a really tall fluted top and then a really wide base at the bottom. Those styles are really meant for deep, heavy red wines. So if you think about it, those heavier reds have more tannins in them, and they really need that oxygen to kind of smooth some of those flavors out and really pull the fruit notes forward in that wine. So if you have a little bit more surface area basically to move that wine around in, it's going to get more oxygen to the wine a little bit faster. Sorry. More surface area equals more oxygen to wine a little faster. So that's why those bigger decanters or those the long neck and everything, that's just giving you more room and more space for that wine to move around, right? I went with a medium-sized decanter. So this is the one that I use at home. It's nice. I can use it for white wines, reds, some lighter reds styles. You can even decant sparkling wine. I didn't mention that one yet, but you can. It's a little crazy sounding, but it does work really nicely, especially for some of those older champagnes and stuff like that. Can really pull the flavor out of them. But yeah, the medium size, it's a little bit more universal, you know. It just probably depends on what you mostly drink for what style you want to go for when you're purchasing one. I do recommend getting one that has a nice little filter in it, because when you are pouring some reds through it, they can have some debris in them. Even some white wines can have tartaric crystals in there, and it'll help just catch all of that stuff that you don't want in your glass. Now this design has this kind of nice crystal piece in here, and it has these little ridges that help kind of push the wine out to the sides of the decanter. And again, it's that surface area thing where it's pushing it out and it's getting oxygen and space that way. So I'll demonstrate that for you right now so you can see how that works. You just pour it through the top and see how pretty that looks. It's also kind of a cool presentation thing if you're pouring it for people or just for yourself, you know. And then if you know that the wine needs a little bit more air, you've had it a few times, same bottle, just swirl it around in the decanter and get a little bit more oxygen moving through there. So there you go. That's the decanting I have. Oh, I never introduced the wine that I was pouring, but this is a 2021 Cabernet Franc and Malbec blend from Argentina, Mendoza. So me and Jason have been studying through Argentina and kind of tasting our way through that region, and really excited to drink this tonight. So I'm kind of pre-aerating it for this evening for us. But yeah, again, I'd say anytime you're going to enjoy some wine, it doesn't hurt to give it a little aeration, whether it's through a little bottle aerator or a full decanter, or just sitting and swirling it in your glass. I do recommend, if you've never done any aerating or decanting before, to try a little bit in your glass first and then aerate it and try it again, so you can really get the appreciation for how different it tastes afterwards. But yeah, aerate and enjoy, and keep the questions coming so I can keep answering. And until next time, cheers.